farming is my life. I love it. And I'm sure if I didn't go into politics, I'll be a full-time farmer. In any case, when I retire, after this stint, of course, I'm going to go into full-time farming. If you want to see me, you have to come here onto the farm.
Farming is my life. I love it. If I hadn't been a politician, I would have been a full-time farmer. And of course, after I retired, if you want to see me, then you have to come to the farm. I love this guy. I love President Mahama. That is the president-elect of Ghana. He was the former president of Ghana. The Ghanaians saw the need to bring him back. So next week, he's going to take the mantle of the presidency of Ghana again. And then he's talking about farming, how Africans should get into farming. I want us to go and watch the full video because it's very interesting. It's very inspiring. It's very inspiring watching President Mahama in his farm talking about farming, what farming can do for us as African people. Let's go and watch the full video, come back and talk about it. But before we do that, please, this is One Africa Mission with your brother Dubia Anzanse. If you are coming across us for the first time, we are young Africans, and our mission is all about the unity of Africa and our collective dignity as a race. So please, if you are coming across us for the first time, don't hesitate to like, share what we are doing. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, One Africa Mission. We are on a mission until we regain back our dignity as African children. Let's go and watch the inspiring video about the president-elect of Ghana, President John Mahama. Come back and talk about it.
Busy weekend for me. All over the Savannah area, farmers are busy because the fires have started, and if you don't get your crops in quickly, the bushfires will burn them. So we're harvesting soybean and maize on this farm. Yellow maize for the poultry industry, and then soybean. We supply our maize and soybean directly to Esuchari farms where they do poultry. Earlier we were on the livestock farm. We started with the goats and the small ruminants, and we started with 300 of them. Right now they've increased to almost 500. We have another 200 animals, and we started just a few months ago, and so it's looking positive. We're going to add the other sheep and then also eventually cattle. And so we're doing livestock, and then we're doing crops. One of the major problems we had this year, especially with the crops, is the drought that occurred. After we planted, the rain came to a stop. It stopped raining, and so after germination, we had a problem with the maize and the soybean being able to take root. Luckily, we have some irrigation equipment here on the farm. We have 3 sets of irrigation equipment. So we rolled them out, and that is what has saved part of the crop. But we lost about 40% of the crop. We were able to save only about 60%. We would have harvested more this year, but unfortunately, the drought happened. So what we're looking to do is to go totally under irrigation. We have a small river over there, and we've drilled 5 boreholes, which are very productive. And so next year we're going to use a pivot system so that we can have enough water for irrigation. And it will allow us to do 2 crops instead of 1 crop a year. Different kinds of equipment, they're working well, but after sales service is a problem. A lot of the dealers sell you the equipment, but once you buy the equipment, sometimes you can't get the parts, spare parts. And so what we need to do is to standardize the equipment and make sure that anybody who's selling agricultural machinery in Ghana is able to offer the farmers after sales service. Because right now is the harvest time. One of our combined harvesters is down, and they don't have the parts. They have to order them from outside. If we say we're waiting for them to bring the parts from outside, by the time the parts come, bushfire would have finished this crop. Happily, one of our neighbors has a good combine harvester, and that is what you saw me riding. We have hired it from him to come and help us, to be able to harvest all the crops before the fires come in. And that's why I believe that we must have farmer service centers where we have specialized agencies repairing and operating the machinery, and then let the farmer farm and let somebody provide him the service of the machines so that it doesn't have to be his headache. Today my headache is about this combine harvester, how to get a part. It should have been somebody's headache. And mine should just be to procure my seeds, get my fertilizers, and be able to grow my crops. And so it's a good experience, but farming is my life. I love it. And I'm sure if I didn't go into politics, I'll be a full-time farmer. In any case, when I retire, you know, after this stint, of course, I'm going to go into full-time farming. If you want to see me, you have to come here onto the farm.
Yes, isn't it beautiful to see a leader encouraging people to get into farming? We need more leaders like this, President Mahama, because we see young Africans perishing in the Mediterranean Sea. I keep repeating it. Running, I saw a video about a Ghanaian youth in Italy picking tomatoes. And then one of them was saying that back in Ghana, his dad had a very big farmland. He didn't like see it to be nothing. He has to run away from Ghana and go to Italy, and then he's still doing the same thing in a harsh weather conditions. So yes, we have everything as young Africans, yeah, to overcome the challenges that we are facing if we can do the needful. And that is exactly what President Mahama is encouraging us. And then this should be an inspiration to most of us. Most of us, we got a lot of farmlands back in Africa, and yet we don't want to go home and then get into farming. Farming is a new form of mining. We are importing billions and billions of crops that we ourselves can provide. Africa, we have the best arable land in the world. 65 to 70% of the African continent is best for farming. Yet we still importing crops like rice, corn. The other day, a sister was talking about how Kenya, they are importing corn from maize, they are importing maize from Ukraine, whilst we have farmlands that we can produce maize for ourselves. So young Africans, let's encourage ourselves. Let's take an inspiration from President John Mahama and then get into farming. That is the only way we can feed ourselves. The person who feed you, control you. We know that. So if we want to have our sovereignty, if we want to have control over ourselves, then we must get into farming. We must stop running away from our continent and then get into farming. At least every family in Africa, at least you have a farmland. Let us get into farming. Operation Feed Yourself in Ghana in the 1970s made Ghana the best place to live. If we want to have our independence, let's learn from what President Mahama is saying and get into farming. I'm not going to talk much, but this is much for coming around. I'm your missionary brother Dobia Anzanse. If you appreciate what we are doing, One Africa Mission, let's work together and then regain back our dignity as children of Africa. Thank you.
A European leader, be it French, German, or American, isn't elected by Africans. They're not elected to safeguard African interests. Africans must protect their own interests, as these leaders are elected to serve their own people and to seek out benefits elsewhere for their population. These are strategic moves. Such good wars hinder our growth if they help them take our resources. For them, it's beneficial to negotiate the best deals abroad for their country. We possess resources that others covet. It's our duty to guard our interests zealously. It's not for others to be protective of our interests. We shouldn't expect President Macron to look after Malians, Gabonese, Togolese, or Cameroonians. That's not his job. He's not elected by them or for that. He's elected to seek the best. If the best is elsewhere, he must go get it. We can't expect deals favoring allies just because they're close. No, it's on our leaders. We must guard our own interests. So to me, it's not even a question when people say the West looted Africa. Yes, and where were we to protect our interests? In ancient times, we could say that. When they used force, we could say that. But we're often the main actors in this looting.